Hey there. So I want to talk about something that I feel like a lot of women face, probably don't talk a lot about, or they do talk about it, and I'm just in my own little safe zone here in Armenia that I just don't deal with so many people anymore because I've been self preserving my energy and my life and my lifestyle so much. But there's this thing that really does get to me, and I'm not gonna lie about it, though I'm very patient when I deal with people who come to me or say something to me or don't even say anything but um, rub me the wrong way as to say why I present myself a certain way, why I look a certain way. And when I say that, I don't mean my tattoos. When I say that, I don't mean I dress or wear or look or act provocative, but it's more of like they'll take it. Mainly my eyes. We'll discuss that. I want to get right straight to the core and the situation because this particular guy was saying, why do you um, appear when you appear? Whether it's like in person or in through photos, why do you have these seductive eyes? Why do because it looks intentional. And I'm like, I'm sorry, have I made myself ever clear to you, or have I ever said to you that I want to see you or go out with you, or that I want something from you? Well, he goes, no, absolutely not. You've never given me the impression that you would, whether it's with me or anybody else. Great. So I said, I'm not quite sure what you mean by my eyes then. Well, he goes, well, you just have these eyes that says, come F me. And I could just recall, being silent for a moment because, it's like in that moment, because I don't walk around with a mirror in a sense of when I'm talking to people or when and at that time I had students of all walks of life, all ages, I mean, and I do recall there was several times where, there was other people younger than me from America, or even Lebanon saying, your eyes are too intense, or one girl, she's like covering her throat or neck, and she's like, your eyes are too intense, why are you looking at me like that? And I'm like you're penetrating. Or so the girl and these Americans and Lebanese, that American guy, the Lebanese girl, were saying that my eyes are very intense, where I look deep into a person's soul. And I remember saying, my students are from 11 years old to 65 years old here in Armenia at the time. They've never once said my eyes make them uncomfortable. I always would ask them, make sure they're okay, if they feel comfortable around me, and they would open up, they'd express themselves to me all the time saying, not an issue. Well, here's the thing though, the people in this country do stare though. So, what I want to say is, could be cultural, could be something in a man's programming when he looks at a woman who's deeply, concentrating. Because again, I don't walk around with a mirror, and talk to people and then flick out the mirror and like study my eyes and how I'm going to look or appear. And that wouldn't be normal in a sense of real. So going back to the older guy. So, the older guy that I was talking about, who did mention how my eyes look like, whether it's in photos or whatever, that I look like, or I'm saying in the photos, or when I talk to somebody, come F me. And he just said to me, yeah, that's what it looks like. And I'm like, again, I was taken back. And instead of getting angry or mad, I was just kind of, because I've heard that over time, like even when I was in high school. I was very mature when I was in high school. Almost a young adult. People thought I was in my 30s in high school. And people would say something about your eyes is so sensual or sexual. And I didn't know till this day if that's a compliment or if that's something ignorant on your part, because sexuality is more of an act and a deed rather than an eye expression through my presence when there's no sexuality involved or there's nothing. Do you get what I mean? And it's just like, because maybe a guy is programmed, and again, this is through cultural programming, what they've been taught, depending, I don't know, the era, the generation, because again, like I said, this is also in the younger generation too, where they think, so here's the thing. I'm a very deep person. And when I say deep, there's so many layers to me. There's so many facets of me. I look at life as, it's a beautiful place for me to learn more about myself. Not really about other people. Maybe that's why I have certain narcissistic tendencies. Not an actual narcissist, because that's a mental illness. That can never... Now, I was never walking around with my tits hanging out or around the guy, showing myself walking a certain way. So I just want to move that to the side, and I do... Because, I'm very keen on listening to people. And it's not so much what they say, but where it's coming from. And maybe that's why my eyes come across as deep, because I'm a very deep person, per se, where, I don't take things at face value. I don't really listen to what a person says through words, but more of the hidden aspect of where they're coming from, And I do remember showing him a photo of myself when I was 6 years old. And I said, look at this photo. 6-year-old me. Look at the eyes there and look at the eyes now. Through the photos that you think, is sexual. Do you see much of a difference? He said, no, shit, fuck, wow, you look like an adult. And I just asked him, I wanted to know, I'm like, when you look at a photo of me when I was 6 years old, does it look like in the photo my eyes are seducing you? It was a professional day school, Armenian school photo where I'm in my little uniform, and it says Armenian school. Do you think that's the intention of my photo? Do you think I was coming from that? And he's like, no, not at all. So here's the thing, guys. Not all women, not all men even. And you know what? I'm not saying this is just women. This probably could be with men too. When we have deep setting of an eye, or the eyes are the window behind the soul. The eyes are not the window behind the physical body of come F me. You know what I mean? Unless I'm in the same hidden place with you and I'm on top of you out of nowhere, let me tell you, I don't freaking want you. And I'm actually brutally honest. I'm a very honest person. If I like someone, you will know. There is no playing hard to get, honey. There is no, you come and seek me out. I'm not that type of girl, And it's not only because I grew up in the West where I'm actually blunt, but it's just my character. And because I grew up alone, and I didn't have a family upbringing in a sense of them being around, and my development stages, part of the reasons why my eyes, sure, it's genetics, but it's more than that, because my soul was so developed at a young age that nothing made sense to me without anything. Everything was paranormal. I almost died a million times. I was pushed off a fucking 3-4 story, and survived, pushed off by a so-called friend. I should have been dead. I talk like a psychologist is because I am a fucking psychologist, even if I don't have a degree, or whether I do have a degree, I am a natural psychologist. My brain is active because everything else isn't active. In a sense of my sexuality is not active. And I choose for that. And I'm very blunt where I will expose my sexuality to the public because I want you to know. If I wanted you, if I want anybody, I make it clear. I start off with, first of all, my brain is very important. If that's not stimulated, hell no would I ever get intimate with someone. And even that is very difficult for me. Because for me, it's a form of weakness. And maybe I'm not normal. Maybe I'm not like most people who are just so fucking closed in the brain and just the physicality. So to me, it's a weakness. And I consider myself an asexual. I don't get attracted to people. I get attracted to people based off physicality. I don't get attracted to men or women just because you're a man or a woman, or if you take care of yourself, if you don't. To be quite fucking honest with you, most people I look at, they're ugly to me. Quite frankly, when I walk the street and I look at people, I just think they're ugly. I want to know your soul. I want to know where you've come from. I want to know what you're doing with your life for me to even touch base with you. And why do I have to get physically intimate with you? And that's the thing. And that's why I'm making these videos. And that's why pretty much I stay away from social media now, because it's like I take one screenshot, one snapshot of myself. I take a photo with a friend or somebody that I've worked with. Immediately people think I'm effing them or they're effing me. Where has this world come to? I mean, to each their own. You do what you got to do. If that's the life you want to live, I'm never going to judge you in a sense of do what you want. But my life is my life. I think I'm perfectly normal for being an asexual. My mom thinks I'm completely abnormal. She literally thinks I have a mental problem for being an asexual, though she herself is somewhat of an asexual, somewhat. And I don't really care to get into her brain with it, because she's just a very in denial, old-fashioned woman who likes to blame other people for things that she herself does or is a certain way. And I'm separate from my family because I've always been a black sheep, and I've always raised myself outside of the norm of what they believe to be normal. I live the other side of the world from them. Okay? Another very important thing, where people that I've worked with, people that I've wanted to, people that see me, want to be my friend, want to work with me, want to do whatever, whether it's and sometimes a topic will come up about these type of things. And again, like I said, I'm very open, because if someone talks about sexuality, whether it's, a general concept or themselves or whatever, I do express myself and I say this is how I am, and I can't date, or I have hard times with certain things, and then there'll be like that ignorant type where they'll say I'm playing hard to get, or they think I'm playing hard to get, and they'll still try when I'm actually not. And it's just, that's got to stop. And that's got to stop where you're asking people why I stop talking to you or being around you, because I'm more than that. I deserve the respect. Just because I have a fucking pussy doesn't mean I use it to get places in life. I have a brain. I have intelligence. You know what I mean? That's developed. And then there's the women. Don't even get me started with the women. The women who say that they're straight, women who are married, women who maybe are bisexual, maybe who are women who are lesbians. To each their own. I respect all walks of life. Okay? Again, if I am friends with someone like that, they'll usually know where I stand, because I'm not bisexual. I'm not gay. Again, I'm not attracted to women or men. But there are those women, and it happens to me in North America, it happens to me here, where they think because I'm not attracted to most men or at all to men, or I'm just not having sex, they think I'm open to being a lesbian without even them asking me, and they'll come on to me and shit, and that's just fucking disrespectful. Let me tell you, here's the thing. I have a background with sexual abuse, and that's not because of the asexuality. Two separate things. And again, asexuality is not a psychological problem. It is not a mental disease, and it doesn't come from being raped or sexually abused or so on and so forth. That is what you are not attracted to or attracted to, right? Just like there's people who are not mentally deformed if they're born feeling that they're drawn to men if they're gay, or women whatever, right? So with me though, it's just amplified more because of my certain circumstances that I always seem to be attracting, from childhood up to high school to college till now, and I probably most likely will always be attracting people who just assume without me even saying or doing anything that I want to F them, and they come on to me. And it happens to me almost everywhere, men and women, right? So going back to the asexual, where my mom, and because I don't know if I get it from her, because she's not very open to these things. She just says I'm not normal, so on and so forth. Again, I have, like I said, narcissistic tendencies, but I mean, she's almost 70 years old, and she has this so-called quote-unquote boyfriend who's not actually a boyfriend, who lied to everybody, including me and herself, that he's going to marry her. And when she was sick in the hospital with a stroke, he literally came on to me and tried to sexually do some stuff. Now, that's opening up a can of worms of two other things, okay? And these are very factual, real things that happened. And yes, that does add to the additional problems. And when he was confronted by my mom or family members, he told my mother that he took it the wrong way because this man is way older than my mom. This was about 10 years ago when it happened. And it was only because it's a very psychological fucking abuse more than it was very, like, but, and it was going back to, like, my eyes and the way I talk again, where he thought I'm sexual. And I confronted and I told my uncle, my mom's youngest brother, and he said, you know what he said to me? He said to me, if I was you, I would have touched you a long time ago. And I was in a state of shock that he would say such a thing to me. Till this day I can't forget, because he did open up and tell me that he was raped too when he was younger. But he said to me, the way you talk, the way you hold yourself, the way you look, and mind you, there are several women in my family who look like me, but they don't get these similar situations happening to them. Your eyes, everything he said, I would have touched you a long time ago. That's very normal what he did. They believe rape is normal. So, till this day, my mom's still with the guy. They think I'm a fucking nutcase. I don't want anything to do with them because it's still very in denial. My feelings are not valid, and that's not healthy for me to accept or welcome in my life when we can't move past it. There cannot be apologies, so on and so forth. Now, again, that's separate from the intent of this video, because you guys gotta stop contacting me thinking I'm some sexualized fucking people for money, fucking people for hobbies and interest. Guys, I'm a psychologist. I'm highly evolved, spiritually, emotionally, energetically, in every way. I'm constantly working on myself. I live alone. I do shit alone. I get things done alone. I'm not no goddamn sex worker. I'm not no goddamn pretending to be a psychologist to be a sex worker. Again, I live alone with my cat. It's all about my self-esteem and my self-value, you know? If I know how to talk to people, it's because I got the brain intelligence, the communication skills, because I've worked on it. I can go back years ago, when I was in high school, where I had to leave. I was legally allowed to leave high school. How did I get that? How did that shit happen? Do you guys know? Do you fucking know? I'm going to keep it right here because this is going to get too intense.